Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhaira ghaleni hamachu ne shume washmale hai gunzaimas. Hi, hugs and hellos to all those beautiful, amazing people who are tuned into PT World, PTV Global at the same time and are watching World this morning alongside Shazad and Maha. Hello Maha, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, walaikum assalam. How are you? I'm very good. I'm answering all the questions in order. I'm very good today. But we're building up to Eid. Everything's been very busy. Work's been busy. Life's been busy. So, I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to feel like I can do with a break. What was it?
Well, you know what I wanted to say over here is just because it's going to be Eid in a couple of days as well, and then obviously we have these Eid shows and then these recordings, and you're working for another channel, so at times you cannot catch up with your Z's quite a lot.
Okay.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, that's the only reason why we started a bit late. So we're sorry for that, but it's all right. We're working hard. We're young kids, but then at the same time, working hard for young kids is very important.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about the youth being the future of tomorrow. They're the leaders of tomorrow. They're going to be taking our nation forward, our people forward. But we have to look at today. They are the leaders of tomorrow, but they are the partners of today. Someone said that once.
Yes, and today is a very important day as it is 8th of September. On 7th, it was Yom Fazaya. On 6th, it was Defense Day. But today, it is World Literacy Day.
Yes.
And it's the 50th anniversary under the banner of UNESCO as well. So what do you have to say about it, Maha? Because 775 million people, adults, in this entire globe are illiterate.
I mean, that's a huge number, but also, the theme is reading the past, writing the future. So I think, it's a very important situation. Within Pakistan, it's not the best situation. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's a lot of people who are working on it as well. So let's see what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, so we're discussing what the situation is within Pakistan, the fact that you were saying something. Actually, I made my point.
No, the only thing which I was saying over here was that, education is important. In the recent days or in the past few days, what we have seen is that we have had people from different universities, we have had youngsters, they're doing fabulous. But the only reason why they're doing fabulous is because they're studying, because they're literate. Now, what is the definition of literate? To be literate or literacy, that's something which we'll have to ask from the guests who are over here in the studios. And since they are experts, so we'll ask them, how would they highlight the importance of this day?
Exactly. So we've been very lucky. We have been joined by Professor Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed, who is the chairman of the Higher Education Commission. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Good morning.
An honor to have you, sir. Thank you very much.
Besides Professor Dr. Mukhtar Ahmed, we've been joined by Mrs. Sabina Zakir. She is the director for Roots Millennium Schools. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on such an important day. So we'll start with you, sir. Why is it important that Pakistan pays attention to this day today?
Thank you. And I think it is not Pakistan. Everybody, every country has to pay attention on this thing. And today is a day to remember that, to understand what happened in education. Today we have to learn from our mistakes. Today we have to decide what is the way forward to address those issues. Pakistan, the literacy rate, you asked that what is the literacy rate? It is basically the number of population, the percentage of population who can read or write.
Read or write?
Read and
Because
write.
earlier I thought it was just who can actually sign their checks or whatever. I think earlier it was like that.
It is read and write basically,
Okay.
and of course in some country they only just pick those person, even those which are just writing their name.
Yeah.
So in that quotation they can be considered as literate. So we used to say it is 60 or more than 60%, but the recent publication from Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, that is showing that in literacy rate in Pakistan is 58%, which is not that good. As for the Millennium Development Goal, under that targets in 2015, we were supposed to be 88%. But unfortunately we are 58%, and there are so many reasons. Of course,
We'll talk about that.
yeah,
obviously.
and but the important thing is that everybody is realizing and they are working hard in public sector, private sector, government, different ministries, different provincial government, that we have to increase this literacy. And the the new target of strategic
Development.
2030 target is that 100%. By 2030, we should have the literacy.
Now, that's something which we'll have
We will
to look
discuss
into.
what we're going to be
whether
doing.
how is it possible, or
How
is
it-
it possible or not.
Exactly.
But ma'am, moving on to you, how would you love to highlight the importance of this day?
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for having this show.
Honored.
And I think the significance of you highlighting that with Defense Day and with Air Force Day comes Literacy Day. I think it's not a coincidence for us to realize that the biggest defense a country can have is education. In today's world, I would feel education is the only thing I would feel that will make anything sustainable for our beloved country, Pakistan. It's never going to be a brick or mortar, or it is not going to be gun or anything else. It is going to be education that is going to elevate. That is my point of view, and I think anybody would agree with that. Having said that, I feel that I'm very pleased that this day is being celebrated, because life has become just very, very busy. So with all the breaking news that just flashed and all things that are happening, one needs to stand back and say, okay, where am I and what am I doing?
Yeah.
And where is our country, and where is our country going to take us?
Yeah.
It didn't bring us where we needed to be in 2015. And so what should we really do to ensure that 2030 is not what 2000, we don't want to be in the reverse scare.
Absolutely.
And,
Well, do you agree to the figure which our very honorable chairman has given,
Oh, I
that the
cannot,
literacy rate is
I cannot.
58%? I think a bit of disagreement in the morning is always nice.
No, but here there's no disagreement. 100, but the fact is, it is sad. It is not disagreeing. It's being sad that it is in the reverse order, and we really need to wake up and probably smell the coffee and say that.
I think our biggest issue is also not only the literacy rate, but the kids out of schools. This is even the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one of the factors that play a role in all of the rates that we have. Now, in regards to the figure isn't what we want it to be, but the thing is, everyone's working together, as you mentioned, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Now, in regards to obviously being part of the education system, seeing those children on the streets, how do we now, moving forward, start getting the awareness there that they need to be in schools? It's very, very vital that they get the education.
I think the issue is very complex. We have to understand it is not only that kids are for the sake of that they don't want to study and they are out of school. They want to study. They have different problems, like the big number of percentage of our population is below the poverty level. And now for those families, those kids are the earning hand. They are bringing the bread and butter for them. Of course, government is pushing. Every year we are doing this campaign of bringing out of school students back to schools, back to institutions. But unfortunately, we are missing the other part, because it is not that they cannot afford. Of course, government is giving them free of cost education. They cannot afford books. Government is providing them the books, their bags, their uniform, and etc. etc. But what about the other part? Because the parents or the family, they cannot afford to send them school.
Exactly.
So I think that is another social issue we have to respond. It is not
Absolutely.
only
We will definitely
responsibility
talk
of-
about it as well. But ladies and gentlemen, right now we need to go for a short break. And when we guys are going to come back, we'll have another surprise on the show on World Literacy Day. Let's take a break. Good morning.
The successful harvest is a reason to celebrate and enjoy the fruits of labor. We present to you the dawn to dusk Punjabi dance.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, as you know, we are observing World Literacy Day, and we have some wonderful guests in the studio, and we've been joined by our third guest. So Shahzad is going to do the honors because we're discussing what is happening within the society and how can we move forward.
More than an educationalist, he's a celebrity too as well. His name is Faisal Mushtaq Tamghai Imtiaz, CEO, Roots Millennium Schools, or Millennium Roots Schools, I think this is how I'll put it. But thank you very much for coming over. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much once again. And indeed, you've actually added up to the education aspect of the country as well. How would you, share your thoughts or views about World Literacy Day?
Thank you very much for having me here. The most important day today. In fact, in my opinion, the 21st century, the first line of defense is not a standing army. The first line of defense is a standing society.
Exactly.
Health and education, civil rights and security are some of the fundamentals of a free society. So as much significance as we give to Independence Day or Defense Day or any other international or national day, Literacy Day to me is the single common denominator to sensitize the nation that if you want to go towards goodness or greatness, you need to get the 24 million out of school children back to schools.
So what message do we get from the theme reading the past and writing the future?
50 years of hard work by UNESCO.
Yeah.
A whole world and a whole generation has been sensitized. Millennium Development Goals now converted to Sustainable Development Goals. Look at the work what we have done in Pakistan. Why should we talk about the world alone? We need to look at ourselves. Chairman Higher Education Commission is sitting here. A lot of good work done in Higher Education Commission. 60 universities we had in 2003. Now we have 180 institutes of higher learning and chartered universities in Pakistan, which is 300% growth over the last 13 years. But when we look at the number of out-of-school children, 75 million children are out of school, 7.5 crore. And why Mamlakat-e Khudadad-e Riyasat, Pakistan, has got 25 million out-of-school children?
Okay.
Why our literacy rate is low? So we need to understand we lack the importance. We lack the significance. We have been talking about it. Just yesterday, we've been talking about National Commission for Human Development, new initiative, each one teach one. This slogan was raised by my mother 15 years ago in General Musharraf's government.
Okay.
Nothing happened. We are going back. We need to build schools, sustainable education. When we can build an infrastructure economy, why we can't build a knowledge society?
Well, you're certainly not following what you said to me, though, prior to the show.
Which was what?
Which was like, no depressing talk.
Okay. Okay, no, but because that's what we discussed before the break, as in the situation. So the out-of-school children, because those are the ones that we need to focus on. That's one of the aspects of it. Now, that is an issue. So now going forward, how do we now bring them into the society? How do we make them more inclusive? Because, higher education has been focused on, it's doing very well, but now what about the primary education?
See, we have to learn. This is not something new. We are evolving basically. We always think in Pakistan that everything will be done by government. Government alone cannot do it. It is the social issue, social responsibility. Each one of us is responsible, We spend huge resources on other charities and other things. Why don't we spend on education? And the more we will spend on education, more kind of work enabling environment we will create in an even less developed area of Pakistan, the better it will be. If we are, 69 years of time has already passed, we are not learning from our mistake. Education need to be the priority of every individual.
Absolutely.
Of course, government too, basically.
Oh, absolutely. Now, going forward, because obviously, we're a social show as well, so I wanted to take it from the social aspect of it. I'll ask you, Faisal, now in regards to education, you said we need to move forward. We bring up slogans and banners and ideas that have been brought in the past because they were effective to a certain degree. Now people are trying to revive them. How important is it for the private, public, and the government sector to all work together to achieve this goal for 2030?
Extremely important. The real collaboration is the public-private collaboration, but I would go to an extent to say public-private and donor collaboration, because Pakistan, we have a lot of a donor ecosystem which is working in support of the world's obligation towards children in Pakistan, the Afghan refugees, Pak-Afghan issues and other issues. Now, the thing is that we have to understand that we being a large agrarian economy, we have a real issue with the public schools. And private sector alone cannot be the single common issue of Pakistan. Private sector is a big success story to an extent that even now that government and many other institutions, they kind of feel a little insecure. If you look at it, what has been happening in Pakistan over the last 1 year, there's a public outreach and on pricing, on price points and so on and so forth. Now, when you want private schools to give quality, offer Chinese language, provide quality inclusive education, then you cannot limit them with government regulated price points. You regulate the curriculum, you regulate the teaching and learning standards, and you regulate the learning outcomes. Public sector needs a real genuine investment. We have a 18th Amendment and education is a provincial subject. Federal Education Ministry has a very limited mandate. We have to understand the chief ministers and the education ministers of Punjab, KP, Sindh and Balochistan and Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir, they are the game changers. And we really have to start working now because I doubt that your notion of being a sovereign state, your notion of being a nuclear capable capacity and your entire notion of China-Pakistan economic corridor, why you don't replace that economic with education? You have to understand that the real philosophy, whether it's Confucius or it's Rumi or it's Iqbal, literacy, literacy and literacy.
Okay, so I want to pick up on your point that, obviously the private sector with the education has done very well. Now, because obviously I don't want to go down the political aspect of it, I want to stay on the social side.
It's all right.
Now, I have to keep saying that because, we keep kind of deviating slightly.
But the infrastructure is there.
The infrastructure is there. Now, how is, okay,
No,
so you
okay,
have
no.
something that's very successful. It's a model, it's working. Now, you said that, it's not, yes, the government plays their role, but as a society, as parents out there, as individuals, as the youth out there, how important is it that we also now start giving back and kind of maybe taking those models and trying to replicate them? Is it possible to do something like that?
Or probably,
What's-
how do you think that you'll gain the confidence of the parents as well? Because then how do you think, for example, if I do not trust any public institute for my kid, how do you think you're going to gain it back
It
as well?
is not, basically, it is not so simple to understand what went wrong in public sector.
But we're trying.
No, we're not.
I'm the product of public sector institution.
Yes.
And I know at my time it was pride to get admission in public sector, not in private sector. There were
Exactly.
only few private sectors, but now it is always altogether. Basically, it is the pride that people are preferring. Even my driver, he said, I don't want to send my kids. I want to send in the private sector. It is not, it was. I should not, because I know the two private sector person are sitting with me. It is not my biased opinion, but in reality, I think it was intentionally done. And of course, it is a huge business. It is a huge business.
Okay,
It
okay,
Let me come. It is a huge business opportunity, They created a niche and they are smart people. That is why they are successful. What is the way forward? I always said to my government whenever I'm sitting with them, one thing, if government decide today that every person who is employed in government sector, in army and their kids should go in public school. You see the change. They will start putting resources in public sector and they will grow. And
That's a good idea.
by the way, it is not one sector which can solve the issue. As Faisal is saying, they need to work together.
Okay.
The task is so huge and gigantic that one sector cannot address the need.
No, but today it's not about public-private. It's about literacy.
Literacy,
Exactly.
yeah.
We're all working
Importance of
towards one goal.
education, importance of education,
Exactly.
realization, By the way, mostly, you said we don't want to go in politicized side. But in Pakistan, education is only for photo session. In reality, it is in reality.
Every house you go into, man, they're holding their degrees, photo frames just over there. Well, that's correct.
Of course, you can't get a rishta in Pakistan if you don't have a degree. And what are you talking about? I mean, I don't think so that
We
somebody
have
would
very
have married
high-
you,
But you can
Shahzad,
get a picture,
if
right?
you don't have the degree. Now, let me give you the bright side, the sunny side of the day. Now, here is for Pakistan to take home. My country should be aware that these children today coming out of so-called private schools, Beacon House, City, Roots, Frobbles, Head Start, you name it, and public schools, HSN, Cadet College, Hassan Abdal, JLM, whatever, Karachi, the amount of patriotism and passion for Pakistan I see with this youth, it is phenomenal. In our education systems, the hottest topic is working with Master Ayub's Academy, working with out-of-school children, working with SOS Children Village, working for gender equity and social issues, working with community education, Akhwan refugee schools, how to empower a child of the domestic household in your school. You have no idea how much empathy has rolled in so-called what you call is a cafe-going, cinema-watching, mummy-daddy society. This new generation is full of patriotism. And remember, Iqbal and Jinnah went out of Pakistan, and the thing that they brought back was knowledge, knowledge, and knowledge. And when these students, they go out of Pakistan, the same media, you call it brain drain. My fellow citizens, it's called brain gain, not brain drain.
Only if you come back.
So let me ask Ms. Sabina this question. You've worked in education for a while now. It's about empowering every child as well and giving them those opportunities. Obviously not the same opportunities, but opportunities to learn. Now, those children who are out of school, they make up for a huge population segment of this illiterate.
And we can never be sure of 58% though as well.
Yeah.
I mean, much respect.
No. I mean, those are the figures that are out there.
This
So
is
that's
how you define the literacy.
exactly.
That is the question, basically.
Yeah. So now going forward, Ms. Sabina, how can we now, empower, like the empathy is there. Now those kids who are working, who are also income providers to their households, how do we get them to go to the schools, actually learn and actually go forward with them?
And you're on the same page as well.
True. And I'd like to only speak as a Pakistani and not really as a private sector or a government sector. I'm a product of a government sector, and I am taking care of whatever I can in my capacity. But let me just say something. I remember hearing from my parents, no, Pakistan is doing a lot and things will change and things will become much better and this is what you need to look forward to and things are happening. And now I'm doing it to my grandchildren. And not that I wanted to, but somehow it's no, this is happening. You play indoors, you don't go out, you remain there, but still trying to tell them there's a world out there and it's happening and there is development and people are looking after their dogs or pets or anything else, cats for that matter, and they have all those days and they are really contributing towards all sorts of things. We are still talking about the most. I told you in the beginning, it will never be brick and mortar. So all the schools that were there where we played in are still there. So all the government schools have all the playgrounds and facilities there could possibly be. It's the attitude towards it.
Yeah.
And the attitude, I'm sorry to say, it's totally missing, and it's not missing in the public. It's missing where the decision needs to be taken place. So
I think we
if
should
Sir
have had
sits
somebody
here-
from HSSC and the other boards as well, so
Well,
that
you
we
can-
could have been in
You can
conversation
have huge
with them,
programs.
because they are the ones.
Do call me over because I don't want to
Responsible
leave this
majorly.
world saying no, things are going
Okay,
to become.
so now that's the thing. Now, okay, so look, when you go black and white, you can say, well, this is how the situation is, this is how it goes. Now, as individuals who are citizens of this country as well, it is our duty to make sure that everyone gets that opportunity. Now, the attitude may not be right in certain segments, but then what about the rest? Because it's having a knock-on effect. So one segment is not having that confidence and trust, maybe, so certain people think. But then why is the society then following suit? Why are people not trying to build that trust?
Can I just take one more
Sure.
moment and just one more note? I go to both. I happen to try and work with the private, and I've been asked to come in, as an institute, to come and help out also. And the difference, there's a difference that I see. In our schools, when I say the private schools at the moment, the most important, or let's say the entire attention is given on training.
Yeah.
We cannot have people who are not trained to look after a whole generation that is going to look after our country. So I find that if that element, so advocacy of how to train the people who are taking care of the nation has to be the most important agenda, which is looked after. Of course, then like Mr. Faisal said, advocating. and sensitizing. So you need to keep inspiring.
Okay, well, Ehsan Iqbal has said that the federal government is going to look into rehauling the education sector, and they're looking at different campaigns in regards to that. Now, going forward, building that trust, because like you said, there's so many people who are product of, they've benefited from the private or public sector. It's about literacy today. Now, going forward, how do we now, from the more society public side, what do we do now?
I think I've got a solution for that too. I think we'll have to do it on our own selves as well, or with our own selves and with other peers, because of the fact that if you intend to travel, since I have traveled a lot in Pakistan and abroad as well, you go to Kailash. They've got a literacy rate of 95%. Every other person can speak, write other languages as well. I mean, you've taken an initiative of Chinese as well. So they have done it themselves.
Because they realize they have no other choice. Look at Kashmir part. Look at
Who's
Gilgit
got
part.
any other choice anyways?
No, but because we have a different approach. But in those hilly areas, either they will work on the small farms, or they have the choice that they can get education and then they go and serve somewhere.
No, but the only reason why I brought this point up was that now these days we do not have to advocate somebody to come and
Everybody
get
know it,
education.
everybody.
Now what we need to do is
We have
that
to
we give them
facilitate.
conducive
We have
environment.
to facilitate them. Yes.
Okay.
Now how
As
do
a
you
society-
think we are going to do that?
No, this is all, as I said in beginning, everybody is looking toward government. That government will build school, government will arrange facilities, government will bring teachers. Of course, government, it is responsibility of 25 phase say, it is the responsibility of the state that they have to provide education till 16 year of age free of cost.
Yeah.
But do we have the resources? Do we have this capacity in government sector at the moment? No. So here I will urge that as a society, we are all responsible. We have the big industrialists, we have the big philanthropists. My request will be, please invest in education for a couple of years. Of course, other sectors are also important. They are building, they are providing money for poor to get married. They are providing money to build monuments. For a couple of years, please fix all those things. Let them have an emergency type of thing. Build schools. Provide a community-based environment where community should facilitate those schools, because they are their kids, they are our kids. We have to do something together so that addresses big issue, huge issue, which is very serious.
And
And to
it's very
add
important.
on,
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
the missing link in literacy, and which is for free, is the missionaries. Now, if you look at the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, and even Afghanistan, if you read the history, the missionaries, they have been the catalyst of education, values, citizenship. Why your academies are not performing? Why Convent of Jesus and Mary Murray has been shut down? Why Pindi and Multan and Lahore and Karachi and Peshawar convent standards are falling down? Why all missionary schools in Pakistan are moving out? Who's responsible? We need to send a senator, a member National Assembly to the world and request the world that this country awaits missionaries and provides safety and security to missionaries, because the way they give education, no one can match it.
That's true. That's one aspect of it, and that's something that we should absolutely utilize. If it's there as well. But now, in regards to the federal, provincial, then you have the Higher Education Commission, then you have students of university, you have the media. It's very important everyone goes forward for this, for everyone to be enrolled in schools by 2018. Now, that's a huge task that the government has set out. Now, that would entail everyone working together. What would you say, that's one solution, getting missionaries to get back and open their schools and teach again. How else can the media play its role? What else can we do? What else can the
if
civil
you
society
open
do?
any TV channel in Pakistan after evening, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you will rarely hear anything about education. This is always this strike, this fight, that fight, he is cheating, he has taken something. What are we doing? Please
And no
focus.
research in that content.
Exactly, just out of the box type of things, basically. But my request will be, please focus some part of your this advocacy part, and she was right that this is the only way to create awareness, to tell people what are the options, what are the responsibilities. So my request to media will be, give few hours of the 24 hours for education, for soft discussion like we are doing, no political agenda, nothing against anybody, and let's focus on what need to be done in Pakistan. Believe me, we are doing the Zarbe, basically, such type of kind of motivational thing need to be started in education, so that everybody, every person, every Pakistani need to do something, contribute something for this cause. And it is not only one time, because we also need to focus on sustainability. Because you said how to bring those kids. We are trying since last couple of years under this Planning Commission as an Iqbal agenda, government agenda. But we are bringing kids. After some time, they are again gone. Who is there to be responsible to make sure?
So the knock-on effect
yeah,
has
exactly,
to be
exactly.
productive as well. Okay, well, that's what you said, it's multiple factors. What would you say, Faisal? What are the other solutions now?
Solutions and solutions. Skills. You need skills. Skilled people at the right place, at the right time, and at the right day of the right day. Number 2, will. You need a political will, you need a social will, you need an economic will, and you need a national will in improvement of education. And the third thing that I bring on the table is the bill that you need to pay for the price of education for these
bill.
out-of-school children. So my message is skill, will, and bill.
Okay.
It's a story of 3 people. And I want you to know, and I want my country to know, if this great nation can build this great China corridor, if this nation can fight the menace of terrorism under Zarb-e-Azab, if this great nation can bring Karachi together, if this great nation can build peace and prosperity in Balochistan, if our universities can get ranking, this ain't rocket science. Politicians need to understand that the electoral system should not work on just infrastructure.
Exactly.
It should also work on social dividends, and the best social dividend in a society is a literate society. So please, anybody who is listening, I request you to come forward in support of literacy and support literacy and sustain literacy and create that social impact which Jinnah envisioned.
Great.
And
We
we will do
just
it,
need-
inshallah, as a nation as well.
We just need to enrich, where we don't need to reinvent
Yeah.
the wheel. So if missionaries did not harm the people who are sitting, at least on this side of the sofa, with the age bracket, they're not going to destroy anything else. Or if we can get up and do it ourselves.
Yeah.
But then if there are speed breakers, then of course, but somebody who's trying to do something
think
correct also is always
let's
stopped.
pledge that everyone in Pakistan today, they should pledge that they will work for the cause of education. My request to all leadership in Pakistan, different parties in different provinces, for God's sake, work together for education. You may fight on other issues, for education, for health and social sector, you need to become one.
Absolutely.
But one last
Great.
thing, and it will be a request on our behalf as well, and that is that, with the technological advancements, please evolve. Please evolve, because it is very essential. If we will not evolve, it will still be on the tractor which we use and we have been using for the last decades. I don't think that will move on.
Exactly, and that will come with education and literacy. So thank you so much for your time and for discussing
Thank
very
you.
important
Thank you
topic.
for-
I hope you guys took something from that show. So if you have any questions as to what is happening in regards to literacy, what NGOs, organization, government policies are out there, do write to us on our Facebook fan page,
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
World This Morning without a G.
our Daily Motion page,
World This Morning once again.
and our YouTube page.
World This Morning.
And the repeat is at
11:05.
Have a wonderful day. We will see you bright and early tomorrow.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3. Good
Good morning.
morning.